In a peaceful coastal neighborhood in the Philippines, where the evening breeze carries the scent of seawater and the distant chatter of families returning home, lived a 12-year-old boy named Rafael. He wasn't known for being loud, or outgoing, or even the most confident kid in his school. But Rafael held something far more powerful, a voice that didn't belong to this generation. It was deep, warm, rich, and carried an emotional weight that felt almost impossible for a young boy. Every evening, after his schoolwork was done and the sun had begun to sink behind the palm trees, Rafael would climb up to the rooftop of his modest home. The roof wasn't fancy, just a flat cement space with a few plants and an old wooden chair, but to Rafael, it was his stage, his sanctuary, his dream world. Up here, he felt free. Up here, he wasn't shy. Up here, he wasn't just a kid, he was a performer. His mother, Aling Maria, would always watch quietly from the doorway of their home downstairs. She never interrupted him. She believed there was magic in his voice, and she didn't want to break that fragile, beautiful moment when he transformed into someone else entirely. The moment Rafael held the old microphone his father once used for karaoke, something inside him came to life. Rafael had one favorite song, "Can't Help Falling in Love," by Elvis Presley. The first time he heard Elvis, he felt a strange connection, as if the emotions behind the songs reached straight into his young heart. Elvis wasn't just a singer to him, he was a guide, an inspiration, and a dream. As Rafael began to sing, the neighborhood slowly fell quiet. People who were cooking dinner paused. Children playing outside stopped running. The local tricycle drivers smoking by the corner leaned forward. They had heard Rafael sing before, but each time, his voice carried a new layer of soul, deeper, smoother, more mature. It was as if the spirit of Elvis traveled through time and landed in this small Filipino town. One particular evening, while Rafael was lost in his performance, a family friend named Kuya Anton walked up the stairs with his old phone. Without disturbing the moment, he pressed record. He wanted to save it for Rafael, to show him someday how extraordinary he truly was. Little did he know that he was recording the moment that would change Rafael's life forever. As the last note faded into the soft nighttime air, Rafael opened his eyes and saw Anton smiling. "Rafa, that was unbelievable," he said softly. Rafael just smiled shyly and shrugged. He didn't know how good he really was. But the world was about to find out. That simple rooftop performance, captured in a shaky phone video, was not just a recording, it was the beginning of a journey that would take a small-town Filipino boy all the way to Hollywood. When Rafael went to sleep that night, his world was the same as always, quiet, simple, and filled with the sound of ocean winds brushing against the windows. He didn't know that while he slept peacefully, something extraordinary was happening on the other side of the digital world. The video recorded by Kuya Anton had been uploaded to Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube before midnight. At first, it gathered only a handful of views, mostly neighbors and family friends. But within just a few hours, it began to spread like wildfire. By sunrise, everything changed. At 6:12 a.m., Rafael's teacher, Sir Ramon, was scrolling through his phone while sipping his usual morning coffee. When a video titled, "This Filipino Boy Sounds Exactly Like Elvis Presley," popped onto his feed, he almost ignored it, until he recognized the rooftop. He watched the first 10 seconds, and his jaw dropped. He rewound it, then watched again. This is Rafael," he exclaimed out loud. By 7 a.m., the video had hit 30,000 views. By 8 a.m., it crossed 100,000, and comments started pouring in from around the world. "Who is this kid? Sounds like Elvis has returned. This voice gave me goosebumps. Where is he from? We need more videos." Filipino vloggers began reacting to it. American entertainment pages reposted it. Music producers in California and Nashville shared it on Instagram stories. The world didn't just hear his voice, they felt it. Meanwhile, Rafael was getting ready for school, unaware of the online earthquake his voice had caused. His mother kept receiving messages and calls, but she assumed they were from relatives. It wasn't until Rafael reached school that he realized something unusual was happening. The moment he stepped through the school gate, students turned and stared. Some whispered excitedly. Others held out their phones showing his viral video. His best friend ran toward him, breathless. "Rafa, you're famous. Your video, it's everywhere." Raphael froze, confused. What video? He asked. Before he could finish, Sir Ramon rushed out of the faculty room. With a proud but stunned expression, he placed his hands on Raphael's shoulders. Raphael, the world is looking for you, he said with a smile that carried both excitement and disbelief. During recess, news anchors messaged his mother asking for interviews. Local radio stations wanted to play his singing clip. His school principal called an emergency meeting, not for a problem, but because they wanted to protect and support him. For the first time in the school's history, a student had gone viral globally overnight. By the afternoon, the video crossed 5 million views. Several US-based talent scouts sent emails saying, "We want to meet this boy. We want to fly him to America." Raphael sat quietly in the principal's office, overwhelmed, his heart racing. He didn't understand fame. He didn't chase it. All he ever did was sing from his rooftop under the evening sky. But now, the entire world was listening. This wasn't just a viral moment. It was the beginning of an international wave that would carry Raphael far beyond his small town. 1 month after Raphael's video shook the internet, his life had transformed in ways he could barely understand. The once quiet boy from a small Filipino coastal town now found himself seated on an airplane, staring out at the clouds below like they were pieces of a dream he still wasn't sure was real. Beside him sat his mother, holding his hand tightly. She was nervous, overwhelmed, yet incredibly proud. Their tickets read, Los Angeles, California, Hollywood. The moment they stepped out of the airport, Raphael felt like he had entered another world. Huge screens glowed with bright billboards. Cars he had only seen in movies zipped past. People of every background rushed by with confidence and purpose. He wasn't just in another country, he was standing at the doorstep of a destiny bigger than anything he had imagined. Waiting for him at the arrival gate were 2 American producers, Mark Ellison and Jade Turner, the very people who had sent the life-changing email. They approached him with wide smiles and excitement radiating from their faces. "Raphael," Mark said, bending slightly to speak to him at eye level, "we've been waiting to meet you. The world has been waiting to meet you." From the airport, they took him straight to a professional recording studio in Hollywood. As the car drove through the palm-lined streets, Raphael pressed his face against the window, trying to take in everything at once. The massive posters of upcoming films, the iconic Hollywood sign, and the studios he'd only heard about through TV. When they arrived at the studio, Raphael hesitated at the entrance. The building was tall, glass-framed, modern, and intimidating. Inside, the hallways echoed with beats of rehearsing artists and producers talking through massive speakers. Yet everyone seemed to pause as soon as Raphael walked in. "That's him," someone whispered. "The kid who sounds like Elvis," another said. He was escorted into a sound room where a dozen engineers and producers were waiting. The walls were covered in gold records. The microphones were worth more than their entire house back home. His mother squeezed his shoulder gently. "You can do this, Anik," she whispered. Mark handed Raphael a pair of headphones. "Sing whatever you feel comfortable with," he said. Raphael nodded, closed his eyes, and took a deep breath. Then, in a trembling yet powerful voice, he began singing, "Suspicious Minds." The first line stunned the room. The second line gave everyone goosebumps. By the third line, 2 engineers were wiping their eyes. When Raphael finished, there was absolute silence, except for the humming of the studio lights. Then came the applause. Thunderous, emotional, real. Jade stepped forward, eyes shining. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said softly but proudly, "Hollywood has just witnessed the rebirth of Elvis." News spread quickly. Entertainment headlines roared, social media exploded, and producers began calling nonstop. But Raphael, still shy, still humble, simply smiled. He didn't feel like a superstar. He was still the same rooftop singer, just standing in a different sky. This was not the end. This was only the beginning.